next track is La Sirena, and this is, I think, when the Shakira jumps out, the Shakira
Yes,
influence.
that is, a surprising song for me. Very surprising. It was, I literally, again, like when sat down with my team, I was like, I need a song called La Sirena. Something that was really important to me when I was building this album, writing this album, and this creative was I was like, I've always said to everyone that I'm the mermaid pop star, but I was like, it is very rare that you see Laguna in a mermaid tale. It's rare that it's reflected obviously being a mermaid is difficult. It's like being wrapped up in a mermaid tail is hard, and it's also an investment and things like that. But I wanted this body of work to like ooze with mermaid. I wanted to ooze with underwater themes, sounds like bubbles, splashes, things like that. And similar to way that Aqua did, but in a more pop forward way. And I really wanted to like claim the title mermaid pop star and not only in English but in Spanish. And so for me, La Sirena, this was another one like TMFO where I was like, I want a song called La Sirena. Very similar, just same with Underwater Bubble Pop. But so yeah, and what some of one of the inspirations obviously was Shakira, but also Rosalia was a huge
Of course.
uh inspiration for this track. Because I just wanted something that was something with this sort of like percussive energy that I haven't really explored at all in any of my music.
Hmm.
And also there's something that happens when I sing in Spanish. I feel so there's something that like happens in my sound that
Hmm.
it feels so much like it feels almost like warmer and sexier to me. There's like this thing that happens cuando estoy hablando en español que me encanta. Y no sé por qué,
Hmm.
que también cuando canto when I'm singing, it's like, oh, and so, yeah, I will never forget. We wrote that song, and I was like, because I was thinking me llaman, like they call me, like me llaman la sirena, and I worked with Jarena DeMarco, who is an amazing amazing writer and recording artist, like icon, and she was like, no, she's like, it's me dicen la sirena, because
Right,
and
right.
yeah, I was like, oh my God. And yeah, it kind of wrote itself because it's interesting because that was like my first time writing in Spanish too. And it was really interesting. Like there's the lyric that's like caracol is part of your world. Caracol is means seashell, obviously.
Yeah.
But my abuelita, when we were like, obviously she wasn't cursing around us when we were kids, but something that she always said was caracoles. And so I was we sitting there and I was just like, and we needed a double rhythm. And I was like, what if we were like caracoles, part of your world, obviously part of your world, uh, part of part of this world. So yeah, I don't know. It felt right. It felt like the time, and it felt and like again, like it's just so important to me, especially because there is, like you said, confusion. Like a lot of people don't know that I'm Latina. So this was a song where I was like, I'm gonna make it very clear that this is not only am I Latina, pero soy la sirena. So
Yeah, yeah. Caracoles in Brazil is also something your abuelita or your little nephew, they'll say instead of saying F word, they'll say
yeah,
caracoles.
exactly.
Like it's an
Yeah,
exclamation
exactly.
of like
Exactly.
it's like a kid-friendly exclamation. So it's very cute that it's in the lyrics.
So
And underwater, let's go to the title track here. Underwater Bubble Pop feels like a mission statement for the album, and again, I think it's reinforcing this idea of this new chapter that you are in your life. And talk about the production of this song.
absolutely. Well, I this so this one again is another one of I think TMFO, La Sirena, and Underwater Bubble Pop were like I think the only ones where I were like this is what I want this title to be. And I think I came up with the title Underwater Bubble Pop for a track years ago. I remember releasing Aqua and being like, I want to write a song called Underwater Bubble Pop. I'm the mermaid pop star. She makes underwater bubble pop. And
Mhm.
so it's interesting to hear you say like how does this like, it feels like it really like builds the era or it's a statement for the era. And it is for me because it's almost like it feels, I guess in my world, in Laguna's world, it feels like it's almost like it's like I'm stamping my name on its own genre, right? Like this album, this body of work, this type of music is 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 the Mermaid's underwater bubble pop. And
Right.
I was super actually inspired by Kim Petras lyrically,
Mm.
um, because obviously I wanted a song that was like a pop anthem, like a banger that you could just like hear on any dance floor. Like perfect for like like any gym session, any dance floor, any like just like makes you want to get up and wiggle, like
Yeah.
wiggle like a worm on a hook, baby, like just wiggling. And as far as lyrically, I remember being inspired by Coconuts because like Coconuts is just such a beautiful like cocoa, I tan in lotion, sunset over the ocean. It's very like imagery, right? Like very like
Very.
painting a picture. And I remember like I was like save a seahorse, like ride a mermaid. And my Ashwood was like, that's brilliant. That's how we're opening the song. Save a seahorse, ride a mermaid. That's it. And so there's this like layer of like camp that is playful, but it's also very sensual.
Right.
It's very sexy. Like it's that fine line of this like camp. It's camp that we see in pop music, but also
Mhm.
it's layered with this like provocative, salacious, like underwater sensuality, which I think is very telling of who I am. It's confident and it's sexy and it's yeah, I agree. It is the statement of the album of exactly who I am and what I want to do and what I want to continue to do. So
Yeah.
and again, I think it's just really exclamatory and claiming of that title of mermaid pop star. And
Yeah.
I feels like I feel as if this song and the album is going to just really define that for me, be really like a a a shining moment of not only of like what I've accomplished and like, the art and the music, but of who I am as an artist. And that I think is just so special. And then like obviously Burbuja Pop, which I think is better. I mean, I prefer it in
The
Spanish. I
Spanish
love it.
version.
Yeah. And I again work with Jarena DeMarco and with the translation. And I will never forget going into the studio and being like "Bajo la burbuja pop," and like just saying the word burbuja. I was like, whoa, this is so yeah, and something I've never heard before, and also something like so fun to say
Yeah.
and sing. And again, it's just further defining this like just a perfect example of who I am as an artist. And so it's really special to me. It's my favorite. I think it's my favorite on the album. Well, I don't know. I have
Yeah.
so many. I don't know. I love them
Hard
all,
to
but
pick.
Underwater,
Yeah.
Water,
It's
go ahead.
your children, so it's hard to pick favorites. One thing that I've always found interesting with artists that are bilingual, trilingual, is that as far as songwriting goes, I don't think most people realize, and I'm a writer, so I'm more drawn to the lyrics than I am the instrumental and the production.
Mm.
But translating a song, especially when you have a Spanish version and an English version, there's just a lot of things that if you just literally translate from English to Spanish
Oh,
or
it's bad.
Portuguese, it just sounds
Yeah,
lame, or it doesn't really make
exactly.
sense, or it doesn't really
Yeah.
hit the meaning that you think it would. So it's always like a journey to kind of figure that out. There's some artists in Brazil that used to just do English songs because they didn't know how to write a pop
Oh,
song
really?
in Portuguese. And this new
Wow.
wave of pop in Brazil has now broken that mode. And I think with Spanish, we're also seeing that with Bad Bunny, J Balvin, Rosalia, all these
Mhm.
artists that are just making Spanish very pop. But what was
Yeah.
that process like? Did you trust your fluency in Spanish, or you're saying that you had
Oh,
collaborators
yeah.
to
I
help
mean,
you?
well, definitely. I was saying, Jarena DeMarco handled mo a majority. I mean, she did the translations. We wrote La Sirena. So La Sirena was a track that I wrote in Spanish, and
Right.
then there were a few adjustments or things that I added to the Spanish, like te quiero mojar, just because I'm fluent. However, I'm very lucky in the fact that I was able to work with such an amazing artist who and writer who I mean I trusted her. She literally I showed her the music, she loved it, and she said yeah. She was like, I would love to translate. And I think that was something I was really concerned about too. Because we had to like write and record very quickly. I recorded the album in 3 days and then mixed it in another three. So like didn't
Three
have a lot of
days?
time to do it. Yeah,
Wow.
3 days, and mixed it in 3 days. It was like it was wild. And so I sent her the songs like oof, like I think like 3 days before I had to record them. And she sent them over because the team that I'm working with was like, she's the one. Tarina DeMark was the one. And she did a beautiful job. And I think I think it was like a really amazing way how she hit the words that I think are very like important to the song, like Energía de Moby Dick and Tú te comes mi
Right.
caviar, and just like, she got it, and she really nailed it. And I was also super thrilled to have her in the room with me because even though I'm fluent and even though I sing in Spanish, um, to get new words when you're writing an original,
Right.
singing an original, as someone who no longer speaks or sings in Spanish as now that it's a secondary language, I was a little nervous. I was like, oh my God, I have to get this right. I can't be telling everybody I'm Latina and then fucking up these words. You know what I mean? Like I was nervous.
Look like a
But
full, yeah.
right, right. But it was so amazing to have her there because there were like decisions and choices that I could, ask about, or pronunciations, and make sure that I was like really nailing it. Um, because she writes and sings so much in Spanish. So it was really eye-opening for me. And I can't wait to make more. Like I'm so inspired to continue um releasing songs and writing in Spanish.